Are we having technical difficulties?
No, we're not.
Should I fucking do the
No,
whole session with this
we're
voice?
live, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Everybody just. Well, nobody's watching right now, anyways. But everybody who pulls this up on YouTube afterwards is gonna see you going. Brr, brr.
Are we having technical difficulties?
Okay, so welcome everybody to Art Quest. We're
14,
doing
baby.
yeah number 14, week 14. Well, it's really like week 16, but we skipped 2 weeks earlier. So this is gonna be a Sunday critique session.
Yes.
Make sure I don't have anything weird in the background. Nope.
Oh, what's that called? Instead of bag or pants? What?
Bag,
Yeah.
pants,
Pants.
bag, figurines.
Hmm.
Anyway, so we're doing critiques today.
Yeah.
And we have prepared some content. Well, our users have prepared some content for us to critique, and we've been through a bunch of it already. We're not sure how long this session is going to be exactly, but we should get through most of the work that has been posted. All right, Burin.
Yes, I think I'll go ahead.
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders.
Colonel Sanders?
Let's go ahead. I don't know how he does it. How does he talk like?
I don't know.
I don't know. He just sounds old, does he?
Yeah. Anyways,
Like-
go on. Do your work. I gotta
Okay,
make sure that.
let me get this right. Okay. Let me share my screen. So, we have 2 submissions from Jemoya this week, or Moya. I don't know how to pronounce the name right. We see 3 variations of the same knight with different hairstyle, different chest armor. Like, I like the variety here, which is each element is different. None of it is repeated. You know, even the gloves, the gauntlets, the shoulder pads, the chest armors, the belt, the pouch, the hip armor. I would say I don't know the specifics of the knight armor pieces, but yeah, we got a lot of variation on just these 3, and it's a really good effort. Of course, we're here to critique this, so I'm gonna tell you what I would do to improve this. Number 1 is, as usual, the anatomy, right? So if I need to explain a few things, is that if you look at this armor, you know what you have to understand. Armor needs to be at least, let's say, this thick, and from this thick maybe, and then this person will wear a padding shirt, which would be like this thick, and right here his armpit is like so thin. So he's like this really skinny guy, and his crotch probably ends up here. And his legs are like this. And his knees would go like that. And his heels are like this, and his toes are like this short. This is fine because when we're too caught up with details and what you're trying to show, and completely ignoring what really goes on behind a design or a function, this happens, right? Like, so in order to fix this, before you put on your armor, you need to draw your basic human silhouette, okay? So after you fill in your silhouette with, let's say, medium gray, I'll do this really quick for you. You can start adding the details with, and then of course you can always duplicate this like that. If it's too strong, you can lower it down with 50, and then now, so since I just talked about the thickness of armor and the shirt and gambits and all that, now you will know that the armor will actually go over the meat of the muscles, will actually cover this armor, right? Like this, see? And if you Google like stormtrooper armors, even in Star Wars, those guys have the most simplest armor. I know George Lucas built it on a medieval armor designs, but this is what happens, right? So yeah, that's the one thing you need to watch out for. With your pose, I have a few issues with it. Of course, you have completely ignored the symmetry, and like for example, this hand is larger than this one. It's smaller, and then this toe is smaller than this toe, and you have like a very weird split of toes, which is like this person will not be able to stand at all, I would say. And also, yeah, with the armpit, it needs to be at least this low, but your armpit is like all the way up here, which would make his, see, he would be like almost this skinny. Yeah, and I'm gonna start critiquing on your armor. So you have like this kind of curve over here, but then you have like this. So if I look at this from the front, this leg would look like that, but then this armor is like this, see? So yeah, watch out for symmetry, watch out for volume. Like this is up and down. I understand that you try to actually keep the volume. That's great because it can be sometimes overlooked, but you know, this hand is larger than this hand, and yeah, and I like the difference of hairstyles. You could have like tried this one to be more, you know, just for the sake of variety. Maybe you were just aiming for a short hair character. That's fine too. Yes. So every critique session we talk about function and anatomy fundamentals. These things cannot be ignored if you want your product to be really be done in a game or on a human 3D model, or if you want the cosplayers to do it, or if you're doing it for a actor, you know, actors like some movie studios actually scan the entire body of an actor, and they would bring it in 3D and they would build it on 3D, and they 3D print it out, and by the time they wear it, it fits them perfectly because they're not guessing how thick the guy's hands and thighs and torsos would be like, right? So that's one thing you need to watch out for. Also, if you're drawing a knight, his silhouette should be really strong and sturdy, heroic type, you know? So that way it will be even more believable. Last but not least, you can always look up references online. For example, like this guy, because if you do not know how these armors are worn, like how, like, okay, check this out. You might see, I'm gonna say this really quick. You might see some armor areas have like a lot of small cuts. Like, look here. Oh, excuse me. Look at it on top. Make the stronger brush. Okay, so like here, 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 and then you only have like one long piece there, and then you have here, 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 probably here, right behind it, and then you have one large on the outside, but you never have a large on the inside. See? Do you know why? Because if you wear if you ride a horse, then if you have like a metallic padding right inside your knee, it will hurt the rider really hard because all this weight will come down like this, and this joint will get like a lot of pressure from all this weight. That's why you need to keep it straight. And because Colton, well, what do you call this? So if you have a sphere, and if you have a wood, and you have like a triangle, if you press it here, this goes up. Well, what is this called? Axis?
counterbalance. Yeah, kind of. I guess the axis or the axis. The
Yeah,
pivot. Yeah.
pivot. Yeah.
Pivot point.
So yeah, and because we all know that these joints go up like that, this needs to be like this, right? Not like this. Do you even know how much this would hurt if the guy was trying to climb a stair or climb a hill or maybe a ladder, you know? And if the guy needs to crouch or crawl, like he will not be able to bend his leg like this. And you might be wondering why then why is there so few pieces there but so many pieces there? It's because of the bones. Okay? If you like rotate your arms, rotate your feet, you can do it right now as you watch this video. You can just look down at your feet and move it around. It has like so many rotation and angles, right? But if you do anything to constrain this, it will take away so much mobility and flexibility of the character. Look at your wrist too. You can like roll your wrist around. You can like, like flip it like that. So that's why all of these armors have, I wouldn't say design, but like movement function in mind. Like check this guy's. By the way, you should check out his Philan Davion, which is like a famous stock photo guy, and he's also a model. You can definitely buy a lot of his stock photos from him. So anyways, look, same thing. The wrist, so many rotational axes. You have so many tiny joints to move around. And your hands need to be really flexible to hold the reins, to grab things, hold a spear, raise the spear, rotate the sword, hold bows, be able to do fists, flipping. If you fall, you need to get on your palm, all that. That's why you need to have so much freedom-giving joints on the armor. The flexible, the better. And thanks to the internet, we have videos like these. Okay? So if you watch this, you have people who specialize in medieval armory, and he will tell you why certain things need to be worn in what order. See, look at this guy. He's really struggling with his shirt, and he's telling you about probably how high the collar should be and why, and what's going to happen after you put on the helmet. See? Like how you put on the shoulder pads, because most of us wouldn't even know. Most of us wouldn't even know. Like, okay, so now since we just found out how this works, we can add that extra little touch here, to make it more believable and more functioning, right? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, my final advice is do your research first and really look. You can do your fantasy armor, you can do your stylized armor, but you need to at least watch a couple of videos like these. Back in the days, it was so hard to find useful information like that because it wasn't in a video. But these days you can find a lot of cool stuff like that. So yeah, that's all I have to say for Moya's knight design. Do you have anything to add, Colton?
No, not really. And then, of course, since it is entertainment design, on top of that, you're looking for unique ways to express something that people haven't seen before. You want to... I'll be repeating this later, but... So, functionality and form, they overlap. In real life, they generally overlap completely, except in like product design and stuff. What I mean is the function creates the form. The look of a lion, the look of a bear, the look of anything that works. NASA robots, the shape of it, the look of it is completely defined by how it works. Now, in entertainment design, you start to part from that in different ways. Because it's entertainment. You're making new stuff. You're basically playing on things that people know and you're stretching them into a little bit of the unknown. So you have to start, you have to start with that foundation of what people know in order to stretch that. So that's why understanding how the world works, like what Burin's talking about, is so important, because it always has to overlap or else people don't get it. And especially with armor, because armor is completely form follows function. At least this kind of armor, maybe not like intricate decorative, design on the armor, but like the plates, how they're put together, how they move. It's completely based on how the human body moves. So you have to start with that as a base, basically. And then stretch it from there while still understanding how everything works.
And also, medieval armor was perfected until the guns arrived in the main warfare as the main weapon of warfare.
Yeah.
So human form stayed the same, lifestyle stayed the same, and mostly, I mean, we're talking about European armor here. So Europeans had like 300 years at least of trial and error to perfect this,
Yeah.
It's not something you just go, oh yeah, it was like that. No, it's tried and true. If something didn't work, they take it away. If something worked, they kept it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if it's medieval, it's been done. It's been done. It's been perfected. You just need to look hard. You just need to study hard. Like, yeah, I mean, look, if we're making animation or crazy stuff, yeah, sure, you can break a lot of rules. But if you want to go for the Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, like if you watch Lord of the Rings, every armor is like functioning armor, even for the orcs, elves.
Because all the actors have to wear it too.
Yeah, actors have to wear it. It's not CGI. If you watch the first Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's like hardcore medieval armor. They just only added like a little, like a little teeth on the shoulder, and this will not poke into the actor's face.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's all they did. Maybe they stylized it like half like that, but then they're all made out of like, I don't know. If they're not making it from metal, they definitely make it from hard plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all. Colton, do you want to take over?
Yeah, I can take over. Let's see. Share screen. Share this screen. All right. So, how do I... Oh, here it is. So, this one's by Nishad. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure exactly. And they submitted this artwork yesterday for us to critique. And I will just start right off by saying you need to focus on... Well, the perspective for the most part is good. Your perspective of the house, your perspective of... all your boards and everything. I'll just say that you have to focus on... This is where the horizon line is, right here. Basically. And yet, for some reason, the ground ends right here. So, here's my Paintover. Like that. And you can see that I basically extended the background into what it would probably actually be. And you can see that this feels a lot better. Unless this house is on a floating island, it would never look like that. And even still, the horizon line would be up there. Like if this house, for example, was on a floating island, you'd probably get something like, you'd still have perspective in the clouds and everything. It'd probably be more like this. And then you might have like... So it depends on what you're going for. And then another thing that I went ahead and changed was the colors a little bit. I think you used color balance on this, or some sort of color layers that kind of messed up the colors a little bit. So what I did is I went ahead and just tried to balance it out. So I feel like in here there's some really warm... There's some really warm stuff going on inside of here that wouldn't be... That isn't really there for any reason. So I went ahead and just balanced out those a little bit. Other comments is your lighting feels not super confident, like it's not plotted or figured out or anything. So like all these, like this shadow right here, for example, is at a very shallow angle, which means the sun's really low, like over here. But the shadow of like all this is not being cast. There's no, like, this shadow should be going like this or something, but you don't see it there. So I kind of found a middle ground. I actually reduced the shadow of... I raised the sun so you wouldn't have such long shadows. So it technically it should be like over here, but I just did a quick paint over to illustrate that you can make the values a bit more extreme because it's like direct sunlight. And then, you know, fix your horizon line and just start adding a bunch of details. I wouldn't make the boards on the side of the building so maybe harsh value. With your line weight, you know, you want like the outside edges to be the most, well, probably more like this. You want the outside perimeter edges to be the most detailed, like this. And then you want the inside edges to be, or I guess I should say harsh. And then you want the inside edges to be less intense. And then any other details on the inside, you just want less too, so you get a good read from your line weight. I'll explain that more when Austin's critique comes up later, because he did a really good job and I can use it as an example. So that's pretty much it. I would say the main thing, like, because your perspective is good, I would say just keep pushing it. And make sure your horizon and background is good, like, for the most part, you know. Just keep pushing. What I mean by that is, you know, like these boards and stuff in here, like, make sure that these are being supported by something that's like realistic. You know, you want your, if it's going to be, you know, tied down and have ropes, you want to make sure that your rope is actually tying it up. Because you have this stick right here, and it's really small and flimsy, and it's not, like, in the ground at all. There's nothing that's, like, holding it to the ground. There's nothing that's even holding it on to this right here. It's basically just put there, like, kind of randomly. I would focus on stuff like that, making sure that that's believable and realistic. But for the most part, everything else is good. It just needs to be finalized. Like, res the canvas up and go into another deeper level of thinking about this design. And that's pretty much all I have to say. You're doing a pretty good job on this so far. So, thank you, Nishad. And I know Burin has something to say about this one too, so I'll let him take over. Bernie. There you go. You're on, dude. Hello? I think your microphone's muted.
Adding to Colton's,
Okay, there you go.
I only have few things to say.
What?
I would, or you can just go like this, right? Just completely take it off from the background, but do not go from this dark with just simple white background. You also need to integrate it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, you need to remember that people actually lived here. And now, I mean, think about how long it would take to build this kind of house with medieval technology, which means people will be walking around, walking in and out, around,
Mm-hmm.
and they will build the what do you call it? The construction
Oh,
thingies.
that's the scaffolding and everything.
Yeah, scaffolding and everything. That would erode all the grass around the house. So if you can see that here's an entrance, right? And here's an entrance. So somebody would go from here to here at least, right? Which means and back and forth. I don't know. You might have a couple of doorways in the back. I don't know, but let's say we have, right? So that would in turn erode the ground, and this is adding for believability, right? You would have this grassless dirt road coming to the house. Of course, if it's not paved with stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would have something like this. And of course, this corner will not be touched because, you know, it'll be something like that. And people go around the barrel. Or they would go straight like that. So yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. I like the background taken out altogether. I don't think the background's adding to it very much. I did want to address the horizon issue. If it kind of makes me wonder if he was actually trying to kind of do it like you just did it, except kind of like failed and made it look like they were on a floating island. So let me see it really quick. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, commit. And also, what Burin said is that when you have a white background, you have to make it work with the environment. Like, you can't just have a full colored image, mask out your building, make a white background and expect it to look good. You have to treat the building like it has a white backdrop behind it. That means having very harsh bounced light of white. That means, potentially your Fresnel effect that's reflecting white, all that kind of stuff. Like stock photos, basically. But anyways, nice.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I'll say to Nishat.
Perfect. All right, I'll do my next one then. So this is Connor's. I'm not gonna have a lot to say about these. So you got some black and white compositions here, and ultimately what the point of black and white compositions are is you can focus just on your graphic shapes. So when you start painting, your composition is already figured out. Now that's really important, especially with these. And that's actually going to determine why the top left one is actually my favorite, because it works the best. It works the best graphically. So the rest of them, I feel, are noisy. You might be focusing too much on your brush strokes instead of what's actually happening, how the image is reading, where the light's coming in at, and how the objects are going to read against each other. Now, I did a little bit of a paint over for these, so like this. So I'm just turning it off and on really quick so everybody can kind of see the what I did. So with the top left, did I say top right earlier? Anyways, so with the top left one, this one is my favorite. If I said it wrong earlier, because I think it reads the best. It's the strongest as far as graphically it goes. There's this person in the foreground. There's this kind of mech walker robot with a cannon on it, and then that they're in like a grassy field and the grass is coming up. So it works really well. The one thing I would do is go ahead and add some third level details to it. I would make sure that the person's face on the right I'm not sure exactly what's going on. And then beyond this, I would probably just detail out stuff a little bit more, how the clothing works, where the grass is, maybe add some patches of grass where there's no grass. So with the next one, with this interior, I would say focus more on your graphical shapes and not so much on the noise. Basically, there's a lot of noise going on that takes away from the shapes. Like if you look at something like Burin, what's a film that's like really graphical?
Noir film.
Yeah, like a noir film. Like look at some of those. They have very specific places where lights are, and then those lights come in and make really graphical shapes. And you want to make sure that your people are silhouetted out, like however they may look, you know? You want to make sure that your people are silhouetted out. You want to make sure that your focal point, maybe this teddy bear is important, right? So maybe you can do something like that and make it really apparent, you know? And then everything else, make it black. Just put it into black or very dark. In the next stage, if you're going to bring this to like 2 or like 3 or 4 values, that's when you can start indicating little bits of detail. But at this stage, like some sort of really dark light. And then in the next stage, when you put more values in, then you can start indicating some details back in here. Otherwise, I would absolutely say make all of that completely black, because you're just taking away from your graphic read. When I took Nick Gindro's class in Brainstorm, we spent a number of weeks on these 2-value black and white thumbnails, and anything that's not important, make it black and bring it back later, or just put very little focus on it in the beginning stages. You know, that doesn't mean there isn't going to be something like a picture frame here later on. It just means that it's not going to be a impactful enough value to show up when it's just 2 values. And then this one, I would focus more on this silhouette, because this seems like the focal point right here. So you want to make sure that this silhouette, I didn't actually make the silhouette more interesting in this paint over, but I just pointing it out and saying, you know, make sure this guy has a silhouette if you want him to read, and make sure this thing has a very interesting silhouette because it's a focal point. And
simplify as much as you can.
Yeah, and I can actually
really noisy.
See that this was originally a stock photo, and it's been the values have been pushed, which is fine. It's just you got to be careful, because photographs are really, really, really noisy when you turn them into 2 values. So you're gonna have to go in and manually remove, because all this noise right here, very distracting. So you're gonna want to go in manually and simplify. Simplification is so important. And then this one, I really didn't get to it very much, but I thought the pyramids, it was a little bit, their lighting was a little bit weird, so I just went in and shrunk them down to what size they should probably be if they're in the background, and then lit them appropriately. And that's pretty much it for this. You know, just, you know, one thing on this that I just can't stress enough is these 2-value thumbnails are all about finding your really, really strong composition. So don't focus on details, don't focus on noise, focus on, you know, your composition, your focal point, silhouettes, what's being hit by light, what's in shadow. And that's it. Good job. This is by Connor, and Really nice. This top left one, I really like it a lot. Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
All right, here you go.
So, we have this Loch Ness swamp monster. What do you call it? Sea serpent, right?
Yeah, doggo
Creature
doggo
in
snake.
this really moody piece. I like it. You try to work with almost singular value, but I noticed that this is kind of green, but then you have a red, which is the opposite colors, which I think you know something about, at least the basics of color theory. So you went with complementary colors, which is great. I like it, but you also did not go crazy with it. You kind of have it really subdued to give it more scary, ominous feeling to it. Yes. So most of us usually make a mistake of just focusing what's inside the image, but not focusing how the whole thing is if there wasn't any framing, right? So if I look at this, if I follow this line, this monster could probably, like, this piece and this piece is not together if you don't know the hue of this. So what I mean is what I mean is, like, if I follow this arc, it can go like that, but this can go like this, right? But then you could say, well, it goes like really low because this is too big and it's too separating. It is so hard to tell. So you kind of need to fix it like this to make it even more understandable that this element and that element comes together like this, see? Also, if you look at the boatman, his perspective is a little off, right? Because the 2-point perspective goes like this, see? And the other one goes like this, right? That's how I see it. So in order to fix that, your boatman also needs to follow the depth and perspective of this. And also your boatman is way at the corner of the image itself. So I would suggest that you would either bring it up just a little bit, just a little bit like that. And you could probably try using the grid of thirds to really find the best position for each element to sit in. But that's fine. And then what I tried doing was I changed it just a little bit. So now this one follows the perspective, I would say. And also I increased the bottom part of the canvas. So now your monster, everything is in the center of the image, like including the boatman. Because if you get rid of the boatman, we will not know how big it is. Well, you can work with the trees, but it will not be so scary and dramatic. Like this, when you have a boatman like that, it actually tells a story. And I also like that you didn't forget to make these little splashes in the water, like up here. Like it just came out of the water, so the water is like dripping down his teeth and chin. And yeah, the only problem is that for me is that I don't really see where is the bottom of this monster, right? Is it here or is it here? Or is the mist covering it, It's so hard to tell. But then if you look at this piece, it's so flat. This is not flat. This is a really big monster. You will have these. It would at least have like a construction line like that. See? Like that. At least this much thickness, right? If you look at this, it's so flat. So
big boy.
what I tried to do was I tried to give it like a very subtle arched construction lines, I would say. Of course, this will be wet, so this will probably shine and take the colors of that open sky more. But it needs to go like that at least. Yeah. So, and yeah, you can definitely look at photos. How does the photo the picture of a swamp or a jungle, the misty Amazonian jungle, how would it look like? Or Mediterranean swamps, whatever. How would it look like in a cloudy, um, misty day, you know? And that way you can have even more understanding. And you have to look at all the vegetations in there. How is it distributed? How does it look like? So, and last but not least, I added just, 2 more thumbnails. So I tried doing this. So I brought the camera all the way down to the water level, so you can definitely see even how big the water monster is, right? But still putting the all these trees and branches in front of us make it look like we're spying on these two. Like, oh my God, I don't know. Let's just call him Uncle Sanders, huh? Let's just call this character Uncle Sanders. Like, oh my God, Uncle Sanders is so close to the dragon. We can't get there, but we can see what he's doing, It gives us that kind of feeling, right? And then with even this one, like, I even brought the camera closer, but I completely changed the camera angle. And then I put the monster's head silhouette over the boatman. So it looks like, it's like really scary. And also, one of the things I noticed was that I don't know if it was your deliberate choice, but I would say it would have even more impact if the dragon was actually looking at him, because he's looking at him, but the dragon is not looking at him. And this would add like a really cool story element. Like these two are like, oh my God, oh my God, is that a human? And then the Uncle Sanders going like, oh my God, is that a dragon? I should have taken my camera, right? So yeah, that's what I would say on this. Your value separation is quite good, I would say. It's just you just need to have more details, and you need to definitely have more material studies. And I can see it's all webbed up here. Like, how would that look like if would it have like a shadow underneath, like, how thick is it, right? Because if I turn this black and white, we can't see. If we turn this black and white, if I remove the red line, I could barely see it, right? Barely. I don't know if it's even there. I didn't even know it was there until now. I'm sorry. Yeah. And how would a wet material would look like, especially frog skins? It would have like a really strong. I'm gonna do this really fast. It would have like a. It would almost have like this. And then the edges of the webbing would look like that. And you can make it even crazy, like you could add a little veiny, like bat wings, right?
Veiny.
Yeah, veiny. With lots of okay, sorry, arterial, artistic. Okay, yeah. So that's all I have to say for this one. Do you have anything to say, Colton?
Not really. I would definitely move the boat person in close to the middle. Like, maybe by the head. Like maybe the snake doggo just came out of the water, right? And is gonna be like, rah, and eat the dude. Who is he? Uncle Sanders.
Yeah, Uncle Sanders.
Yeah. So Ooh, yeah. Yeah, have it looking at the boat. That way it feels menacing and scary.
Creates tension.
Definitely looking at the boat. Just
Yep.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, really. That's pretty much it. I mean, you covered all the things like the snake's body and making sure it's in perspective and it makes sense and all that kind of stuff. Like, depending on how deep the swamp is, because if you look at the background, there's grass coming out of the water, but then if you see how deep the snake has to go in order to actually fit that shape, the snake would almost be like intersecting with the ground. And yeah, definitely put some more of him coming out into the background. That would definitely work really well, just to show that he's, real long, or she,
And then of course, then the curve would be like very short. You
Yep.
need to think about it going this way.
Yep.
See, like if you don't see it, that doesn't mean it's there. It's
No.
there. You just don't see it. You need to
If-
think it the other way, right?
Yes.
So, yes, so you need to draw it outside the box. Like, yeah, like thinking outside. It's not thinking outside the box. It's actually drawing outside the box to really calculate what this is. And once you decide, you could just crop it like bam, and it will not be wrong.
Yeah. Look at this. This
Yeah.
is what Burin is. IQ 200.
Oh my god, thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm very flattened.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah, the good job, Bernie. We could
Thank
call you
you.
Uncle Sanders from now on.
Yeah, you can do that. You
All
mean
right.
the Colonel Sanders of the no, Uncle Sanders, not Colonel Sanders. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I'm just gonna do this thing really quick. There. Okay. Actually, no, it's stupid. All right. Okay. Share screen. So this one was posted. Oh wait, no, this is the Paintover. This one was posted by. Oh, I'm in the wrong Discord. I think it was Rin something. It's one of Christina's friends. I don't remember, but she's in, I guess, the intensive program at Art Center right now and is doing this design. And sorry we got to it so late because it's due on Monday, I guess. But maybe this wouldn't be too much trouble to change at this point. But I think this would help the design a lot. So I would say that. So here's my Paintover, and here's your drawing. I didn't do a lot, and I actually took one of your other versions that you posted and used that instead. I really like the curved blade. I think it gives it a cool look. I really like some of the shapes that you're using on here. I would say for design, what you want to do when you're really designing anything, but especially characters, you want to take a specific shape, like maybe this, and you want to repeat that element all over. Oops. You want to repeat that element all over the body. So what I did is I took this shape right here, and I just made sure to repeat it like on the waist. And then I already see it repeated on the legs, so that's good. And you kind of see this repeated on the shoes too, and you kind of see that repeated right here. So that's really good. And I do actually like this design a lot. There was one thing that I wanted to comment on. Oh, I would probably change the waist, because right now it in your version it feels kind of odd, like baggy, really baggy, and not really like it's occupying space very well. So I went ahead and just gave it the kind of that bean shape that you get on the torso. That's like this, just so you can kind of see the curvature of how this is working. And then so one thing, what was, oh yeah, I was gonna, and one of the ones that I'm actually critiquing. I'll just do those both now. How about that? So clipping is a very big deal. So I've been working on a job for I don't know like 8 months now, and we're doing like character skins where we're adding where we're making new outfits for them essentially. And one thing that's very important is clipping. So that is when geometry intersects with other geometry. And it happens especially a lot in the shoulders when a character needs to raise their arm. If your character is going to be in a game and you design them an outfit where they can't raise their arms, you are going to get the arms intersecting with the shoulder pads. Now, the reason I didn't take the shoulder pads out in this idea was because I actually really, really, really like the shape of them. So, not sure exactly. I don't know. How would you solve that problem, Bernie? Because like you have such a cool
you need
shoulder
to
shape.
you need to completely rig the animation on the shoulder pads along with the hands to do it.
Yeah.
But that'll be like, I don't know, it'll be quite difficult for the animators to do it.
It would be very difficult. It might not even be worth it unless this is a protagonist in a story and the entire game revolves around, her and the gameplay. But if this is just an extra outfit in the game,
You need to create so many morphs for all the hand action to move. You will probably have another skeleton running through that shoulder pad just to
yeah,
make
maybe
it bend
so.
correctly along with the arm. Look, it's not undoable, but it's still a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
Also,
Well, what you might be able to do.
Cult
Yeah.
Knight. For me, another thing that's weird for me is that. Okay, I'll probably say it later.
Okay. You can go ahead and say it now. I'm just gonna go ahead
No,
and.
the sword is like an L shaped if you look from the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I wasn't gonna address that, but I was I had noticed that. I was mostly
Like
gonna talk about the design.
yeah,
So what you
yeah.
could.
You need to animate. Yeah, exactly. Just like how Colton is doing that thing with Photoshop. You have
Well,
to
you.
create all kinds of stuff. And it's not even just gonna affect the shoulders. It's gonna affect the neck and the collars and the front part.
Well, what you
I
might
don't
be able
know,
to
man.
do is you might be able to do something like this.
And get away with it.
You might be able to just change the shoulder so it's actually sticking up instead. So maybe on this you actually have this going on, and then the arm comes down below here, and she can actually raise her arm now. I kind of like the shape, to be honest. We might play with that a little bit, but an issue like this would definitely be something worth addressing, at least if you're working in a game where the character needs to move their arms, which is basically every character, especially games nowadays with emotes. They're literally dancing and doing flips and all kinds of stuff. So you have crazy restrictions. So maybe something like that, where the character can now raise their arms at least. I'm not sure. Maybe something like that. I kind of like the look, to be honest, but I really like the look of this original thing. But anyways, that's one thing that I just needed to comment on. But yes, Burin is right. This is an L shape. I'm assuming that you're trying to make a weapon that's shaped like that, but in reality,
bent.
it's
The golden blade is completely curving over her. So the blade is actually in front of her. It curved. It started in the back, but now it's in front of her. That's how I see it.
yeah. So let's see, and that's partly to do with how I rendered it too. But let's see, how would we do that? Yeah, or maybe we could just do this.
Change the thickness.
Yeah, let me try something. There. That's a little bit better. A lot of it's going on right here, though.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
There. Better. Not too big of an issue to address. If the design of the sword is there, if the design of the sword is there, then it's not really that big of an issue because you can just fix it. But I guess that's for someone who actually knows fundamentals. So yeah, I think I actually probably screwed it up in my paint over. Let's see. Well, hers originally was like this, which is better. Mm-hmm. And then her other one was this.
Okay.
And then I needed to, I'll just put that on there. I kind of like the shape, though. So, where's, oh, there it is. So, yeah, if you really want to make sure this is all working, just do draw through. You can just make a new layer. You know, make sure that this connects like that, and then make sure that all that is working well. But anyways, I also added a little bit of red to the top of the head. I did notice you had red in the outfit in other places, and if she's like the leader of a rebellion, which you mentioned, she's like a princess that turned leader of a rebellion after someone betrayed her or something. Maybe this could be people's way to spot her. Like, oh, there's the red hat. You know, like in a crowd of people, her hat sticks up, and then there's red on the top, and people be able to be like, oh, like there's all these people around, but I still see her hat sticking out. You know, like she's taller than everybody else. That's definitely one of the one thing that you can do in order to make the argument that. But I kind of like the red on the hat, but it can go with it or without it. Doesn't really matter. So I also slimmed down the shoes. I'm not saying you can't design anything for the shoes, but the shoes that you did design were felt a little unsure of themselves, like design-wise. So what I would probably do is maybe draw it as if there were no design, like draw her leg and then draw something on top that maybe like this, because right now the design that you do have, I would say, feels a little bit unsure, like not confident maybe would be the word. What would you say, Barin? It's like, I don't know, it's a little strange, and I don't even know if this, like, I think her leg would...
looks like it doesn't have like a shin muscle or bone.
Yeah, so
it's like prosthetic.
Yeah. I would go ahead and take that out. And then, on top of that, maybe copy what's happening on the arms, because I noticed a newer version that you uploaded where you changed the arms, and I really like this. So maybe add something like that, you know, to it on top of it, like that, or not sure exactly. You know, this is one of those designs that's what.
This drawing style reminds me of like the early Final Fantasy watercolor sketches.
Yeah.
Like the bubbly aesthetic, you know, like.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
I would probably maybe do something like this. Like, if you want to add something to the back of the shins, I don't know if that would really stick out, but maybe a little bit. If you want to add something to the back of the shins, you definitely can. Just make sure that the leg is actually working underneath and that it makes sense. So maybe go ahead and do something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then if you're going to render this, because I know you're rendering it this weekend too, just start by identifying your light direction, rendering your large forms, figuring out where your large forms are going to be rendered at. So let's say the light is coming in at this angle. Make sure that you got your Terminator shadow on the cylinder of this hat. Like this. Wait, what layer am I on? Oh, fine. And then just go crazy and render everything, you know. All this stuff, like this shoulder is a cylinder. So you want to render it like a cylinder. You know, start simple with your rendering and move more complex. So start with figuring out where your light is hitting, where your form shadows are going to be, where your cast shadows are going to be. So like this, you know, your cast shadows, your forms. So there's going to be a form in here, like this, like this. The legs are going to have form to them, like this, you know. They're going to have the shadows. This is going to have a shadow. This is all going to have a shadow. This is going to come around. Start really simple, and then you can move to more complex. But you have to make sure that it's correct on a simple scale before you move to complex. Because a lot of, I guess I would say maybe beginners or they have a lot of those problems, you know. You want to make sure that your shadows are working like that. So you'd probably start rendering like that. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, give it a cell shade style.
Yeah.
Highlights and shadows.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for that. Let's actually Christina just messaged me so I can you ready, Boren, for your next?
Yeah.
Alright. There you go. You are on.
Yay. So, Xanatos has submitted these 2 sketches. Unfortunately, they are quite low quality, but...
You mean low res.
Low res, sorry. Low res. It was a very tiny image, but
Yeah.
a couple of things I want to say is that, number one, even if you're sketching, like, you still need to keep in mind that closer object would have actually higher detail. Because if I look at this image, the background level of noise and detail is higher than the tree you have in front. And this doesn't look like a tree to me. Not from this angle, like, you know, it's so solid black. It's like you need to have some kind of a bounce light from snow, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, let's push it a little. Another thing I want to add is that, like, I'm not sure what I'm really looking at here. Is it the tree, or is it the trail, or is it what's over there, you know? So if you, like, I don't know what you were really trying to show here, even as a sketch. You might say, well, it's a sketch. Who cares? Well, we all care. As the audience, we care. We want to see something interesting, something going on. You know, you can have like a moon with an eclipse over here like that, right? Or I don't know, like you can have, like, what do we all like? Angelic giants, right? With a big spear. The spear looks like a moon, you know, like, and it tears like that. Or you can add like a really cool cloud too, you know. You need to have something interesting to show us, and even for yourself too, because you also want to look back, even as a person, as an artist by yourself. You have to look back and say, oh wow, this is cool, I could work on that later. But if you ask me, if I did these sketches with just as it is, I don't know where to go with it, and I would probably not find it interesting later. But if you just you need that extra one step. I know it's a sketch, so you don't need to detail everything, but at least give it something interesting, right? You can have. Okay, let's avoid the guy with the spear. That's been done to death. Guy with the stick, right, Colton?
I don't know. It's simple but effective. It depends
I
on
know.
your piece.
So you can have, like I don't know,
But a barrel with legs.
like a UFO, right? You can have these strange UFOs,
Might as well do.
and then you can have like a polar bear looking up.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It was Uncle Sanders. Is it my turn? Or I don't know, like wolf.
Insane.
You can have like these cool white wolf looking at a UFO. Nobody did a UFO and a white wolf painting, okay? So you can actually just get away with this. You know, like a pack of wolves here, and they're like completely awestruck by the UFOs. I don't know. Maybe I went too crazy with this. But yeah, even over here, you can have, because it's really smoggy looking, you can have like this really big, strange installation. You know, like yeah, give it something interesting. You know, I don't know. What if these trees have cables? Like I mean, cables, right? Like these trees are not organic, but it's still the same element. So yeah, have fun. Don't do well, I would call this. Well, this is my personal opinion. I hope I don't offend you, but I would say what you did here is quite bland. So yeah, have fun with it. That's what I would advise to you. So, Colton, do you have anything to add on this one?
Yeah, just add subject matter to it for the most part. That's what I would say. Like your environment itself, it's not that it's very bad. It's just that there's no subject matter to it. There's no like focal point. There's no any of that stuff. You know, like Burin's UFO, polar bears. Like, you know, that would be a subject matter. It's just an example of something you could add. That's like big pog. I'm sorry. I'm trying to adjust the size of the text on the screen, so I'm sending a bunch of emotes to see if it.
Okay.
Okay, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, you can make this weird organic tree, you know, because the reason why this came into my head is because I don't see, because first of all, your tree shape wasn't organic, right? It was very abstract, non-natural. So that's why I thought, hey, what if this is not like nothing lives here? You know, it's all covered in snow. And what if everything is just like a machinery? So what if these trees are, I don't know, like harvesting CO2 off the air, you know, because of the shape, it reminded me of a machine. So that's why I went with this idea. So yeah, that's all I would say with this one. Yeah, keep doing, exploring, have fun. And then you will end up with a cool subject matter, and you can develop it further. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you.
I actually forgot to go over the other one that I was gonna go over. So this one and also this one I was gonna go over. This one has the same issue, clipping with the shoulders. Like this guy literally can't raise his arms any more than they're already raised for the most part, and that's gonna be a problem because this guy's a knight and he's gonna have to stab people and swing his sword, and that's just gotta make sure. Because you'll see right here, because you can make the argument, oh, well, the shoulders hinge up. Yeah, well, then you cut his head off. So, if these are hinges right here, then this whole piece... Well, first of all, the back view contradicts that, because the back view is actually one solid piece. It wraps around the back of this. Oh, come on. The back of this wraps around and it's like that behind it. So it's one solid piece. So that's not a hinge. And you just got to be careful because if he raises his arms up at all, he's going to hit this. And it seems it's cool from a design standpoint, but it would not work at all from a in a game standpoint. You'd have to probably do major revisions to actually make this work. Now, secondly, I was going to say, as far as the design goes, I like... How do I do this? A, B. I like A, I like B, but I do not like A and B together. Which means design A is cool, and design B is also cool, but they feel like different designs because there's all this armor up top and on his hands and shoulders and belly, which, by the way, the armor on his belly would also be an issue because he won't be able to bend. See, in games, I'm going on a tangent. Hold on, I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. So yeah, the top of the body and the bottom of the body look unrelated in design. If you cover one, like, you would never guess that below that line he wouldn't have any armor at all. And you would never guess that above that line that he would have any armor at all. It feels half mage, half knight without any integration. So what I would probably do is go in and just be like, you know, maybe separate this. I don't know exactly how I would address this. Maybe go in and separate this skirt out, open it up. Or, I don't know, dude.
You can look at Lord of the Rings, Gondorian.
Yes, exactly.
Designs.
Look at some real design.
Yeah.
But you want to separate it. You want to make it feel like the top half of the design and the bottom of the half of the design is unified. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the belly. So this has a lot of issues overall as far as the armor goes, because even in games, people need to be able to move in their armor to a reasonable extent. And this guy's waist will not be able to bend. So usually, like, in a game, you'll have like this whole area right here, for the most part, will have to be some sort of soft material, because when people are rigging your model, there's hard materials and there's soft materials, and soft materials can move and bend, and hard materials are rigid. And if this whole armor, this is a hard material, and this is also a hard material, so you want to make sure that, like, maybe you should like make this small, like this, bring that up. So let me go ahead and just do this really quick. So, you know, maybe do something like this, and then below this you want to make this a soft material, like this, like that, and then have that coming off of there. Like, I would probably do something like that. And then, or you can have, like, you know, like layers where like Burin was showing on the armor earlier, the armor will bend, so it's like there's like multiple layers, like that.
Yeah, it's like the insect exoskeleton as well.
Yeah, and it'll also make the arm look better, or the armor look better, because it's now broken up instead of one large piece. And if you break it up into like thirds or other pieces, then yeah, it's like the insect, basically. You know, you have your exoskeleton, which this is basically an exoskeleton. So what I would say is, if you want this guy's arms to be able to move, I'll just copy paste. I would do this. And then I would make sure that this bit right here was short enough that this piece can rotate up, at least. Maybe make this piece a little bit shorter too. or something. Maybe up. Like that. And then I'll take...
Oh, by the way, today is the French Independence Day, and I hear a lot of fireworks outside.
Nice, dude. Go party!
Yay! Viva la France, eh?
Yeah. Alright. So, maybe something like that. Or something else that does the same job. You basically want him to be able to, like, look at this. Where's the shoulder joint on this thing, Burin?
It's really hard for me to say.
It's like right there, maybe. So
What about his elbow? I don't know. Judging.
yeah, the elbow wouldn't really be able to bend very well either. Like a little bit better than the shoulder, dude.
Slightly better than the shoulder, but it still needs a curve. It still needs a big
shoulder?
curve
Like right there. Anyways,
for
you need
the
to make sure
biceps
that
to
can...
pull the tendons out.
Yeah. So you basically need to make sure that I mean, you're not designing this armor for someone in real life, so you have a bit more stretch room with a game. However, I'm guessing this isn't for real life, but you need to make sure that the arm can move, because if this is going to be rigged for a game, everybody's going to hate you as a concept artist, because they're always going to send your designs back and be like, make sure that the arm can move, change the shoulders. It's not that the design of the shoulders is not very cool looking, it's just that it wouldn't work, like, from a game standpoint. Like, this belly needs to also be... So, anyways, that's pretty much what I had to say about that one. I only have one left, which is Austin's, so I will go to you, and... Ooh, we got some juice here, huh? Some juicy designs.
Which one, dude?
All of them. Let's hear it. You're on.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. I'm so honored. No, I'm not honored. It's actually Weinberg Platypus' work. Okay.
Oh.
So, one thing I need to compliment on is that I like how clean and precise it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love it. This is so precise, so clean. Like, you can just grab this and immediately make the 3D model out of it.
Yes.
This is really great. Really awesome. Really patient. Really clean. It's great. But
Ooh.
there's always the but, right? So, the lighting isn't very designer-like, I would say. This is more like a promotional art type coloring, you know, like more advertisement type. But if you want your design to be clearly seen with a uniform light, I would say, you have to use a different light, you know. So yeah, I love it, and that's what I would say. So I tried, you know, I just tried playing with it. So my advice would be do this instead of like focusing really hard on just one design and just going right along with it. I would say spend more energy on actually finding the most interesting shape for yourself. And also, as a guy who studies medieval weaponry for artistic reasons, this big bulging part will not allow this sword to cut through anything. Okay? So you need to kind of have it like uniformly flat. But, of course, this can be an engraving, you know? I don't know, like this, right? Like those cool Viking swords, or, you know, like those Nordic patterns, kind of. So, yeah, and also the coolest thing in Photoshop is that, in case some of you guys don't know, there's actually a symmetry option up here on this butterfly. So put it here, and you hit enter, position it, and there we go.
Yeah, I love the symmetry. It's so great.
You can do spaceships, you can do faces, you can do anything with symmetry. So yeah, this at least solves half of your problem. So yeah, you can do swords like that. And yeah, it would be nice to explore some varieties. And when you finally decide on one, you can go like this. Maybe you did thumbnail rough sketches on these ones. I'm not sure. But if you have, and if you do, it would be best to attach them as well. So yeah. Do you have anything to say on this, Colton?
Not too much. I mean, you pretty much covered everything. I wouldn't worry, like, honestly, if this is like a World of Warcraft type weapon, I wouldn't worry too much about the thing sticking out so it can't cut through things.
Yeah, sure, yeah, of course. It
But
can have like energetic properties or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, pretty much everything else I agree with. Yeah, I'd say if you wanna level, level your stuff up, you go to complete render instead of having a line work, and just really focus on getting that high quality polish and finish and everything. And like, this is good and complete design, but it can also be pushed if you want to go even further, like if you want to go beyond kind of the mobile game quality to more like AAA. You're going to want to have more realistic lighting, better presentation, higher quality, higher quality render, more detail, and all that. Really, materials too. I would definitely say more materials. This whole design basically has one material, like, which is what like everything's made out of. Do you hold on to the handles that are they leather? Are they is there other materials, like, are those orbs glass and everything like that?
Yeah, that's why if you add like really strong uniform light like that,
Yeah.
it kind of confuses the person. Okay, what am I looking at? Like, is this metal or is it plastic?
Yeah.
Like, so what about the handles? Like, but yeah, but look at this, man. It's admirable. It's really great. I love it. Oh, there's a little owl in here. Oh my god. I I have to mess with this.
You have to what, huh?
The owl, baby.
Yep. Do it. Yeah, I can definitely see that this person spent a lot of time on this design and really polished it up. So that's good job.
And it's not even like, oh yeah, it's half-assed over here. No, it's like uniformly nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the kind of patience I lost over the years. All right. Yeah. So I hope everybody likes owls, right? No. Oh yeah, they kill the poor hamsters. So
Yeah.
it's not one of the most. Okay, so that's all I would say for this one.
All right.
Colton, do you want to take over your things?
Yeah, so this is my last one, by the way. So after this, we're probably going to wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
So, boom. Austin. Ho. All right. So these are Austin's designs. They're really nice. I would say the strongest part of these is your perspective and attention to detail and first, second, and third level details are just great on these, especially this one. This one's definitely my favorite. This one, not as much, just because there's so much going on and everything's at about the same weight. So, but like the perspective with these, like everything, like all the stairs, all the boxes and radios and cloth and tires and even this truck and everything, it's all sitting in perspective really nice. Very cool. What is this, like a booby trap or something? Or no, this is a... Oh, that's cool. Okay. So people load stuff into this, and then the truck is a counterweight to pull this up. So that's cool. But you can see that, like, his barrel with the boards around it, you know, this is all in perspective really nice. Everything's pretty good on this. And even this brush, this is the Kingston brush, because Kingston and FZD uses this brush. But it works really well. So I would say if you want to go the next level with this, you're going to want to focus more on your focal point, and you're going to want to focus more on focusing on, mostly your focal point, and making sure that your line weight doesn't become noise. So through using either a little bit of value, you can do that. And just focusing on one area, making the line weight in that area a bit heavier, and then lowering the density of the line work as you move outwards from that area. So I went ahead and did that a bit right here. So how I did that was, I can even just do it again right now. So I took this, I copied it like this. Then I took my levels, and I went ahead and got rid of the gray. So it's just like about like that. Then I went and got rid of this up here. So now I have this. Then I set this to multiply. Then I used a big soft brush to erase around the edges like this. Like that. And you can see that it's already starting to read a little bit better. And then what I did was I just had another multiply layer right here, and I put in some like ambient occlusion and shadows, kind of faked it, and then I used just a normal layer, and I painted in, and I drew in white, and I just added a couple like speculars and little, not really speculars, but kind of lit surfaces in a specific area, and that was this area, which is a focal point. So not really design, like, I honestly, the design in this is good. Like, it's fine. Like, there's nothing that I really need to comment on too much, other than just a little bit of presentation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then with this design, I think it's a little bit noisy. I would do essentially the same thing. Try to pop out one of the more like interesting elements. Like, maybe I'll just do this really quick. I have the time. So, you know, just try to pop out a little bit of this. It's not, you're not going for a super realistic, like you could definitely build something off of this, like in real life. You know, if someone wanted to build a tree house, they would totally understand what to build, you know. So I'm not worried about any of that kind of thing. And then I'd probably take a multiply layer, go in here with something like this. You really want to make sure that your silhouettes are. Let me think. This one's a little bit harder because there's multiple like physical layers of like stages that you're kind of going up through. So usually what you want to do is you want to ground it by giving it like a, you can maybe give it like a drop shadow or something like that. Something more like that. Do, 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 do. Oh, and careful that you don't get your work looking too FZD-like, because some studios actually really don't like the FZD look. Like particularly like Adam Hawk, I've heard, does not like FZD looking work. They don't care if people went to FZD, but they don't actually like the look of it. They want a... They just don't like it. Like, I don't know why exactly. I guess maybe because there's so much of it, but FZD. I mean, Adam Hawk does not like that FZD look, and other studios aren't huge fans of it either. But that's the one that I specifically know of by name. Which is funny because there's a lot of FZD students who work there. They just got rid of their style because. Or they just tried to avoid that style. So... yeah, just go in and add some... little bit more value push to it. Like, you know, there's only so much you can do with the line work and value where, you know, you focus on your ambient occlusion, you focus on your highlights and stuff, and then, you know, so I'd probably do something like that just to break it out, because a lot of these forms are starting to like blend together. Your line work's not quite cutting it because it's similar everywhere. So then maybe I'll go in, grab this area, do the old trickaroo. Look at this. Go in, take all these guys. Multiply. Then there. Probably something like that. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Oops. You know, you want to focus on your focal point. You want to make sure that your forms are popping out. And that's about it. Bernie?
We got one last.
Yeah. Gotcha. You're on, Chief.
Yay. All right. Ivanila. We have this thumbnail studies of this modern style buildings. Okay, I have very few things to say. Sorry, I didn't have anything to show you and sketch to you because I'm so confused. Actually, I don't know how to start. Okay, first of all, your building silhouettes are not clear. To me, some of them doesn't look like silhouettes, okay? Some of them look like chess pieces or iron or a coffee machine or I don't know, like a taser, you know? I get it. Yeah, you can have buildings based on those shapes, but it needs to be building first and then the other elements, right? So if I group your thumbnail similarities, like this one looks like a kettle, this one coffee machine, and I don't know what these are, probably laser guns. And you have like A, B, C, D, F, G. I understand the effort, but to you need to have a really good up to like 5 from 10 different thumbnails, but like a really well done thumbnails rather than rushing through every alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with your buildings, it's just big rectangular and the windows like okay, what do buildings need to support, right? Really quick, lots of weight because with all the weight and space, right? Okay, this is the floor. You need to have a guy like this tall. So ceiling need to be at least this tall, and you need to have like air canals, pipes, all that stuff. And you need to have a room for lights to hang down, like and then you need to have tables. Like let's say if it's an office, right? Let's say it's an office or an apartment. For the closets, for the I don't know, like let's say it has like a theater in it. Like you need to, and then what? You need to have second floor, third floor, right? Etc. And you need to have windows. And then your window threshold should be at least at the knee level. And it's really thin. And depending on how big your building is, these details will only get smaller, right? So if I look at your sketches, like if I look at these really big windows, uh, I am not convinced that it's really a building, at least in my eyes. And also the perspective, I don't know if you were going for 2-point perspective or an isometric, because you can totally see like this one is opening up, this is opening up, Isometrics don't do that. And unless you're doing some Escher stuff, see, and then you have this one up there, and then like, oh, now now it looks like we're looking at, yeah, it's yeah, I'm so confused. I'm sorry. So before you start again, references. You need to look at all these modern buildings, right? Oh, one element, another element. Like you need to sketch these and get like ideas, especially the real ones, like these ones, right? And then try to understand, oh, how much is how much. And like if you notice, all the lower first floors are really tall. Okay, check this out. Really tall first floor. Tall first floor. Well, you might say, well, no, it's short. No, it's not. It's actually this metallic frame thing covering its front, right? That's one. See, very tall first floor, or the lobby, as some English language countries call it. See, tall first floor, etc. So yeah, you need to study your very fundamental basics of architecture to start with this. This is not. This is just a single hall with internal separations. So yeah, and do not use like really rough brush for your silhouettes. It's not good because noise is just distracting to your mind. Okay, so try to use like a really solid square brush or a really hard round brush, and of course you have symmetry. I'm gonna show you really quick. Here, you hit the butterfly up there, and you apply it, and now you can have your buildings.
I got a couple
You know?
comments too.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, I drew something out for it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll just
So
switch
yeah,
over. Or,
that's
yeah.
that's what you need to do. Like, and then of course the negative space is really important.
Mm-hmm.
At least, yeah, try it like a building. Um, of course, every building have foundations. Don't forget about that. I don't know if this looks like a building to you, but you can at least try it like that, see? And then if you really want to sell it, you can have, let's say, turn symmetry off. You can have like a really cool something like this, you know? And then you can, of course, carry that element throughout, like this. I hope it looks like building to you. I mean, and once you like that, once you like this design, now we can really play, right? Hold on, Colton. I'm gonna be done with this really soon. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
Oh.
Oops. Copy.
Bernie.
Uncle Sanders, baby. All right. Yeah, you can do something like this to test the thickness of the building, etc. You can connect the balconies in a simple perspective, right? And then you can, oh wow, we can actually try something crazy. Like you will notice something like, hey, what if I run a really cool curve down like this on the side of the building, right? And it'll have these two white neon lights shining from both sides. I don't know if neons are white, I'm just making stuff up. You can, yeah, you can try like this, etc. And yeah, you can have your little like your radio antennas on top of it, you know, for the helicopters, because you don't want no helicopters crashing into your building, right? So yeah, just learn the basics of architecture and you'll be good. So do you have anything to say on this, Colton? You can
Yeah.
switch camera if you want.
Cool. Okay. So I would say all your black and white silhouettes and all your actual sketches are way different. If I'm gonna, if I'm gonna make an observation about these, you got these crazy silhouettes going on, but then above it, they're literally almost just cubes. None of the silhouettes, the interesting silhouettes that you had, are reflected in your final drawing. So I'm pulling those over and kind of taking a couple and basically being like, these are the new silhouettes. Like, these are the old silhouettes. But you got some really cool stuff going on in here. Like, I think that G, I'll make this like, I think that G is really cool. I think I is cool. I think that, let's see, F is pretty cool too. There might be some potential in this one with the kind of how it twists up like that. But this is what the end result was. Square. You know, square. Everything, every one of these basically fits inside of a square. Like, or, I mean, everything fits inside of a square, but every single one of these are basically just squares with little deviations, especially this one, especially this one, especially this one, especially this one, and especially this one. So just make sure that you're sticking true to the shapes that you originally started with. If you want to keep that design language, then you have to keep the design language. Like, you can't change it and expect it to stay the same. But as far as everything goes, I mean, you have some pretty interesting ideas going on in those silhouettes. Just make sure that, like Buren said, quality over quantity. Maybe get like 5 or 10 that you narrow it down to, that are refined a bit, and get some really cool stuff going on. If you want inspiration, yeah, just look up like modern building like Buren did, you know, and find some cool. There's a lot of abstraction that's found in them, but it's very practical too, because the way that modern buildings work is that people can what's the structural integrity of things, people can build a lot of stuff and maintain the ability to turn it into a building. Like, you can do a lot of different things. You know, if you look up like modern skyscraper, maybe not so much skyscrapers because you need a lot more structural integrity.
Just
like,
look up modern architecture and
yeah, like even look at something like this.
Strange architecture, you know, fix your keyword if you want to look something.
Yeah, like look at these cool twists going on here. Yeah, keywords are very important. You can get good at Googling things, believe it or not. Oh, dang, check this one out. That's awesome.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But is that a real or a concept?
Oh, it's a concept, but it's still really cool. Yeah, this is a 3D render. You can tell by the water and the trees and the fact that what's even, there's nothing like even in there, but it's still awesome. It's probably like a, actually no, it's not. There's no hinge down here. I was gonna say it's like a wind turbine or something, but that's cool. Maybe it's like a concert hall, or like, you know, you got your stuff that goes on down in here. But anyways, yeah, look up some cool stuff, and you can find inspiration for a lot of really unique, interesting buildings. And you'll also find a lot of Minecraft stuff, because no matter what you Google, you'll always run into Minecraft stuff. Yeah, anyways, I was just... See, look, here's another one. I can't believe it. Look at this. More Minecraft. It's actually pretty dope, though. Look at that. Whoa. I mean, the colors are kind of dumb-ish. But that's fun. They've made, like, a whole bunch of apartments. That's funny, dude. Anyways. That is pretty much, I think, all we have, right, Bernie? Do you have anything else?
No, I'm done.
No? Okay.
Yeah, we will upload this into the Discord right after this.
Yup. And then the video will be on YouTube in a number of hours, and we usually shave the beginning off because it's just like 5 minutes of stream starting soon. So we'll shave that off, and by the next couple of days, the video should be good for everyone to see.
Yep.
So thank you for coming, and we will see you all again next week. We may invite a guest. We'll see. So, yeah, that's it.
So thanks everyone for sending your work. We are happy to critique on them.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we are critiquing on them to your satisfaction. Yeah.
All right. See ya.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.